Welcome to Shift Change, the Idaho Manufacturing Podcast. Over the course of about 20 minutes, we bring you conversations on AI, tech, and the future of Idaho manufacturing. Funding for this program comes from TotalCare IT, your Idaho-based IT and cybersecurity partner for manufacturers.
If you're a manufacturing executive here in Idaho, you understand speed. Your entire business model relies on it, right? The efficiency of the line, the pace of delivery, that relentless ticking of the clock. But today, we need to focus on a different kind of speed, one that's actually working against you. I just want you to picture this for a second. An invisible automated threat probing your network. It's scanning for a weakness, testing passwords, trying to slip past your defenses, all while your forklift driver is still in the middle of his morning energy drink. That's the asymmetry we're up against.
And that urgency, that sense of speed, it so often gets weaponized into these headlines that just cause panic. There's a statistic recently that caused a huge amount of friction in the cybersecurity world, and it was the claim that 80% of ransomware attacks are powered by AI.
Right.
It's designed to sound terrifying, like you're fighting some autonomous enemy that's learning in real time.
And that terrifying statistic, well, that's our mission today. We're taking a deep dive into the source material. We're looking at the people who circulated that figure, the top experts who pretty thoroughly debunked it, and critically, what AI automation actually means for securing your manufacturing facility.
Especially for organizations that are juggling legacy machinery and, small IT teams.
Exactly.
We need to separate the sci-fi panic from the genuinely concerning reality. So by the end of this, you'll know exactly why that 80% claim was bogus, but also what the real shift is that should be guiding your security planning for 2025 and 2026.
Okay, let's just unpack this 80% figure right away, because it didn't just appear out of thin air, did it?
Yeah.
It came from a research paper that had some pretty big names attached to it. So where exactly did this number come from?
It came from a paper that was co-authored by a vendor, a company called Safe Security, and the MIT Sloan Camas program.
MIT.
Exactly. And that association with MIT gave the claim this instant, massive credibility. But the security community, they almost immediately pried foul because the data just didn't stand up.
But how did it get past academic rigor if it had the MIT banner on it? Or at least, how did it get past that initial public scrutiny?
Well, that's the question that frustrated so many experts. One of the most vocal critics was Marcus Hutchins, who's a really well-known cybersecurity researcher. He went on LinkedIn and posted this detailed critique, calling the paper highly exaggerated and baseless.
So not mincing words.
No, not at all. He pointed out that this vendor-sponsored piece was factually inaccurate, even poorly edited, and it certainly lacked the academic depth the authors were claiming it had.
And this wasn't just a theoretical complaint, right? He had specific examples of how the paper was just wrong.
Absolutely. He stated he personally tracked many of the threat actors cited in the paper.
The ones they claimed were using AI.
Right. And he could definitively state they did not use artificial intelligence in their campaigns. It was a classic case of just using a trendy buzzword AI to describe basic automation.
Okay, so here's a perfect example that was highlighted in the sources. The paper claimed the 2017 WannaCry attack was AI-powered. We all remember WannaCry. It hit over 300,000 unpatched computers, demanded Bitcoin, just ground businesses to a halt. If that wasn't AI, what was it?
It was simple automation. Effective, but simple. Hutchins explained that the core mechanism WannaCry used to spread was a script that used a random number generator.
A random number generator?
Yeah, that's it. That script created random IP addresses, and then it just tried to exploit a vulnerability at those addresses. And here's the critical distinction for you. AI requires learning, adjustment, decision-making based on data.
Which a random number generator does not do.
Exactly. The WannaCry system did none of that. It was pre-programmed to just execute a task and search randomly. The paper was intentionally mislabeling basic automation to inflate the threat.
So if the technical experts are just tearing the methodology apart, let's look at the financial pressures. Who benefits from this kind of fear? You mentioned Safe Security, the vendor who co-authored the paper.
And their main focus is on, you guessed it, ramping up the use of AI in cybersecurity defense.
Of course.
So that's precisely where the conflict of interest is. The paper was pretty clearly being used as a marketing tool. It suggests the danger is so advanced that only their advanced tools can fight it.
And that's what frustrated the professionals.
It did. They argued that this kind of AI hype actively distracts manufacturers you from the real threats that you can solve with fundamental security controls.
There's a great point here from Adam Maruyama, a leading voice in cyber risk. He said, Even if every attack were AI-powered, that doesn't make AI the best defense.
It's such a good point. The fear itself creates this panic-driven market, and it diverts resources away from proven defense strategies.
And tellingly, the sources note that the paper itself seems to have been deleted from the internet.
Which is a pretty strong indicator that the claims just couldn't withstand any critical scrutiny. The essential takeaway here is, don't spend your time and budget preparing for an evil robot mastermind.
Right.
Instead, prepare for highly efficient human criminals who are just leveraging tools that are readily available.
Which brings us to the real shift, the nuance over the sci-fi. So the verified industry understanding is that AI is not running most malware on its own. Humans are still making the decisions.
Humans are still setting the targets, pulling the triggers. The shift, though, is that AI is being used heavily to assist those cybercriminals.
So think of it less like that evil robot taking over your system.
And more like criminals strapping rocket boosters onto old attack techniques.
That's a great analogy.
It's the speed and the scale that fundamentally changes the risk equation for manufacturing.
Okay, so the core issue is speed. Why is automation so dangerous right now, especially for an operation with complex, constantly running environments?
Because automation, it just doesn't get fatigued. It doesn't wait until Monday morning for your IT staff to arrive before it starts probing your network.
It doesn't stop after 3 failed login attempts.
No, it can tirelessly test thousands of entry points every single hour, running all these operations in parallel, while your small team in Idaho is focused on, maintaining production uptime.
Or fixing some complex industrial control issue.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the specific ways criminals are using this automation today. We're not talking deep machine learning. We're talking about massive efficiency gains.
Right. A key use is reconnaissance. Automated scripts scan entire network ranges looking for vulnerable IP addresses or misconfigured services or old unpatched software. They do it at a speed no human security team could ever match. They can find that one tiny pinhole weakness almost instantly.
And the other one is phishing.
A huge one. AI models are trained on real human communication. That lets attackers write far more convincing phishing emails. The language can mimic your specific vendor or your CEO. It can even use your internal jargon.
Which makes it incredibly difficult for staff to spot that it's a fake.
It really does.
So this high-speed customization means that even if you have, say, 80% of your security locked down tight, the attacker's automation is designed to find that remaining 20%.
And then exploit it repeatedly until it succeeds.
And that's on top of generating malicious code faster.
Yes. They can custom build ransomware for specific targets at scale instead of just deploying generic malware. This increases the chances that the attack bypasses your standard signature-based detection tools.
This level of targeted, persistent, machine-speed attack, this is why we need to connect this threat directly to the bigger picture for manufacturing. What makes this industry, and specifically the executives listening here in Idaho, especially attractive to this new era of automated attacks?
Well, it boils down to a fundamental conflict. It's the conflict between operational necessity and security best practices. Let's just run down the attacker's checklist for the manufacturing sector. First and foremost, legacy systems.
The old machines.
The old machines. You've got older machines, legacy operating systems running critical tasks that nobody wants to touch for fear of downtime. Those unpatched systems are perfect static targets for automated scans.
And we know exactly what you're thinking. If I touch that Windows XP machine that runs the $5 million production line, the whole facility stops.
Right.
And that fundamental fear of disrupting uptime, that is what the automated attackers are banking on. It just means easy, predictable vulnerabilities for them.
Second on the list is supply chain complexity. Manufacturing relies on so many vendors, suppliers, distributors. Automated systems love exploiting those third-party trust relationships.
So they use compromised vendor credentials to get in.
Exactly, to jump into your network through remote access tools. If a small firm in your supply chain has poor security, the automation will find it and use it as a backdoor right into your facility.
And that's not even mentioning the complexity of modernizing. So many companies are layering on cloud platforms, IoT sensors, remote access.
All on top of those legacy environments.
You're basically building an ultra-modern roof on top of a crumbling foundation.
And critically, most small to mid-sized manufacturers operate with very small IT teams, maybe 2 or 3 people. And they're forced to juggle production support, hardware troubleshooting, and all these complex security demands.
That is the core asymmetry right there. Your defenses have to stop every single attack attempt.
But the automated attacker only needs one to work.
And automation helps them find that weakness, exploit it, and spread ransomware across your network before your staff can even finish troubleshooting the first alert. Relying only on manual defense against machine speed is a losing game. Speed beats human perfection every time.
So if the bad guys are using automation as a rocket booster for their attacks,
And we have to use automation as a digital guard dog for our defense.
we have to level the playing field.
The good news here is that the same technology that's accelerating these attacks is available for defense. Modern security tools are absolutely essential because they monitor your network 24/7. They don't need a lunch break.
And they don't just look for known malware signatures. They detect unusual behavior on the network.
And that's the key.
It is the key to catching threats that have customized themselves specifically for your system.
That behavioral analysis is so vital.
It is. If a user in accounting suddenly starts accessing the industrial control server at 3 in the morning,
That's unusual behavior.
right, regardless of whether it's known malware or not, automation can flag that, respond, and contain the threat automatically. It gives your human team time to investigate during business hours.
And this is vital for every executive with the budget AI tools amplify good security fundamentals. They don't replace them.
That's a critical point.
Cybersecurity still works best in layers. It's like essential personal protective equipment for your network. You need every layer working together.
Okay, so let's look at the 6 essential components outlined in the source material. This is for every Idaho manufacturer's defense plan moving into 2026.
These are the fundamentals that automation will then amplify. Number 1, patch and update your systems.
Foundational.
It is. And executives need to change their risk calculation here. You have to accept a small, planned downtime risk to patch critical systems, rather than accepting the catastrophic, unscheduled downtime risk of a successful ransomware attack. You have to address that legacy machine fear directly.
2, use modern threat detection tools. We just discussed this, but the key takeaway for an executive is that these tools are designed to reduce alert fatigue on your small IT team.
They act as a tier 1 analyst.
Exactly. They sort through the noise so your 2 or 3 person IT department can focus on fixing actual production issues, not just chasing false positives.
Number 3, enable multi-factor authentication, MFA, everywhere you possibly can.
It's annoying, but it works.
It is annoying, but that second step where you type in a code from your phone or use a physical key, it is the single most effective step you can take.
The sources are definitive on this. MFA stops a huge percentage of automated attacks because even if the criminals steal the password, they can't get past that second wall.
Number 4, train your staff to spot sophisticated phishing.
And training needs to evolve. It needs to go beyond just generic email scams. Your staff needs to recognize when an email looks exactly like one from your machinery parts vendor, or when a link has been subtly embedded in a document that mirrors your own internal formatting.
The training has to focus on spotting the difference between a highly personalized, automated attack and just a typical spam message.
Number 5, set clear AI usage policies. This one addresses a subtle but rapidly growing risk called shadow AI.
So this is when employees use public AI tools for work.
Yes, they might feed sensitive proprietary data blueprints, trade secrets, client lists into public unsecured chatbots just for convenience.
You need clear rules prohibiting that, prohibiting the introduction of sensitive corporate IP into those external, untracked environments.
And finally, number 6, segment your network. This is crucial for manufacturers.
Think of it like a ship's watertight compartments.
That's a perfect analogy. If one compartment, say a vulnerable legacy machine or a specific remote access zone, gets hit by malware, segmentation prevents that malware from spreading across your entire vessel, across your main IT network and your business operations.
It limits the damage.
And it gives your small team time to isolate the threat.
So what does this all mean for the manufacturing environment in the coming years? The key takeaway from all the sources is that the most pressing threat isn't science fiction autonomy. It's that manufacturers must prepare for an environment where cyber criminals prioritize speed, scale, and sophistication through automation.
And we understand that human oversight is still essential. Humans are still making the decisions and managing the defenses. The speed of defensive automation, though, is non-negotiable for protection, especially when budgets are tight and staff is limited.
So for Idaho manufacturers who are relying on those small IT teams and embracing these modern security tools, this raises a really important challenge to think about as you plan your spending. If speed is the main battleground, how do you ensure the powerful automation tools that are designed to defend you, The ones that are always on, always analyzing, always generating data. How do you make sure they don't secretly overwhelm and fatigue the human oversight that's required to manage them effectively?
That's the real question. If these defense tools generate thousands of automated alerts a day, and your small team is just drowning in data, you might actually be automating defense failure by increasing that cognitive overload.
So the challenge isn't just the tool speed.
It's managing the stress it puts on the humans who have to supervise it. That's a human element we just can't forget.
That is the ultimate risk to manage. The criminals may be using AI to work faster, but you have to strategically use it to stay safer, without burning out the human talent you rely on.
We hope this analysis helps you move forward with clarity and confidence.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of Shift Change. To learn more about using AI in your manufacturing business, reach out to TotalCare IT, your Idaho-based IT and cybersecurity partner for manufacturers.